Hey guys, this is Reviews and More back with a quick video, and this will be a little, darn it quick, about 10 minutes long for me. It's pretty long for my videos. But this is not so much a review as an instructional video on how to take a very inexpensive, cheap, lower quality cast iron pan and make it into something a little bit better, a little bit more like your great grandma's old pan that was very smooth. So right there you see me quickly showing you the problem with many of these modern fans. You also can take a picture of it. You'll see the image in just a moment. These modern pans, because they're cast iron, they're still made the same way they used to be, but they don't have the final finishing step of being smoothed out, because that cuts into the cost, which means they try to sell it cheap. Like this pan is a mainstays pan from Walmart. It costs less than 10 bucks for a 12-inch cast iron pan. It's about as cheap as you'll ever find them functionally. But if you look at that graininess on the actual pan, that is a process. That's from a process where they actually make the cast iron in a casting kind of setting. Now, without going into a crazy amount of detail, each little bump you see in this image, each little speck, that's part of the casting process. So the way this is usually done with various foundries is they have a mold that is stamped down over top of with what's kind of like a sand that has like a wet liquid inside of it. It basically helps the sand hold its shape. You pound it down real hard, that then lets the actual mold take shape and be firm. You then cast the liquid iron into it, and that's what's left over, that very, very rough edge, because again, they use like a wet sand kind of material. What this video is going to show you is what used to be done way back in the day was they'd run through this thing and say, well, this thing, we can't send this out to market. Just pretend it's like the 1950s. We can't send this thing out to market. It's all gritty and it's all rough. This thing's not ready to be cooked on because everything will stick to it because of the surface. Well, they stopped fixing that, and this is how they used to literally just sand it all down and finish with the final polish, and this is going to take care of that. So this is just a standard random orbital sander with some 5-inch Velcro hook and loop pads on the back. So it's very, very simple to do. If you have this tool, you can use it. If you can do it by hand, you can. It's just very much more labor intensive. This probably took me about 20 minutes to get through all of it, and the first pad I used actually came with the sander, so it was a piece of crap pad. It's an 80 grit pad, and move on to 100 grit. And from here, you got to run through the whole process, and it's not terribly difficult. It's just a little bit of elbow grease, but mostly just let the sander do its work, and it does pretty good. Make sure you get the sides. But by the end of it, you can just do it by touch. Just keep feeling it, making sure everything just is doing what it should be doing, and you can just run through this thing pretty daggone quick, and you will notice a dramatic difference by the time it's all said and done. And what's really interesting is just how daggone smooth you can actually get these pans with just a standard bit of sanding from basic cheap Harbor Freight sanding materials and tools. And while you're doing this, you just want to be very careful to make sure, one, you don't nick yourself with the thing, and you also make sure you get all the little nooks and crannies, especially the bottom. The bottom of the pan is probably the most important. Make sure you get the sides too. But this will make the pan so much better once seasoned. Now, this is also going to strip the pre-seasoning that comes on most of these pans right off. And some people will actually buy these pans and they will just strip them because they don't like the pre-seasoning, because they just don't like the way it works. Now, what they're hoping you're going to do is that you're obviously not going to spend this time and labor to get this done. What they're hoping you're going to do is you're going to cook on the pan for a long time, and in about a month or so of regular cooking, that layer of polymerized, basically the oil you use, basically what they call seasoning, will thicken up, and it'll even out those rough edges from that gritty, sandy, leftover basic texture that comes from the factory. But we're going to skip that step and sand it down, and you can just notice from seeing how splotchy this is, just how much variation there was in the size. So we just use a random orbital, so this thing is about as smooth as you're going to be able to get it, short of really getting down there over and over and over again with different various grits of sandpaper. It's about as smooth as it's going to get, and you see there's still some of that old seasoning on there. That's just because of how uneven it was before. So now it's more or less smooth. Parts of it have been worn down all the way down to the actual original finish, the metal, while other parts still have a little bit of black in there. That's simply because it's just changed over time. That's the level of pits and little itty bitty pits and valleys in that texture that kept the old seasoning on it. Nothing wrong with the old seasoning. It doesn't really impact the performance of the pan, just the look of it. Now, once you get this, you're going to see a before and after here. So before, you can see all the grit. After, you see it's all pretty much smoothed out, and that feels smooth to touch with the finger. Like, obviously, because I got a close up the camera, it looks a little bit rough, but that's just because it's zoomed in on a camera. It feels smooth to touch, and that's how you test it. As you're going through and sanding, you basically run through it and go ahead and test it with your just by touch, and you'll see, okay, that feels smooth. This still feels rough. Keep working on certain edges. I'm not going to do a video here on how to season a pan. Just know that the first 2-3 times you season a pan, it's going to be kind of brown colored unless you use a certain kind of oil. Recommend animal fat, so bacon fat. That's a great one to use. That'll get it that dark color quicker. So early on, these things start out brown. So for the most part, if you see like grandma's old pan, unless it's ancient, it's gonna be brown. So when these things, like a lot of Lodge pans, have that kind of brown tint to them, Lodge makes a better quality, and they're a little more smooth. But and it also depends on the oil you use. Like I was using vegetable based to season mine. They tend to show up a little more brown. Just FYI. Animal-based fats tend to show up and become a little more black over time. Doesn't impact the performance of the pan, and we're going to just test an egg to see how smooth this is. This is just a seasoned pan. It's dry to the touch. Spend a lot of time in the oven getting seasoned, and we're going to just see how well it does the non-stick thing. Now, I should have done before and after and seen how this did with the black pan, but I'll take my word for it. It sticks like crazy starting off because I've gone through several of these pans without sanding them. It just takes a long time with lots of seasoning, lots of oil to get it taken care of. But this is a fast way to get it done if you got the tool, and the tool's not that expensive, and you got the time, you want to sand it down. Wear a mask because you are stripping some metal, and it's going to be powderized, and you don't want to be breathing that in. But it's a great way to make a $10 pan much higher quality. Now, you are still limited by the mixture of the cast iron. So if you got cast iron, every cast iron company, for whatever foundry they're contracted out with, it's going to be a different level. So it depends on how you cook with it. But as far as the non-stick ability, you can actually have an impact on that just with a little bit of labor. So like right there, that's about as non-stick as it gets, guys. And I didn't put any butter spray on or any butter on there. So this is like, usually when you cook with cast iron, you're going to put some kind of grease on there. And right afterwards, I just put a little bit of oil on there to after post cooking, just for seasoning later. And probably after a month of using this pan every other day, it'll be a nice deep dark brownish black, and it'll be back to looking not like it did when we got from factory, because that was rough and kind of ugly looking. It's gonna be very smooth, and it'll look like grandma's old-fashioned cast iron pan. And it's just a great way to just improve the quality of cookware that can last well beyond you. So it's just a cool way to do it, and you can make something that's traditionally kind of low quality, like a Mainstays Walmart brand cast iron pan, into a higher quality, better usable item. And thank y'all for watching. I hope you found the video helpful, and it's a fairly simple process, so I encourage you to do it. It's just a fun thing to do, make something a little bit better than it was before, and improve on something that can last a long time. Have a great day. Thanks for watching the video.